Hi, welcome to sunny Copenhagen. I'm Takashi Saito, and today we'll be cooking with seaweed, with local seaweed here from Denmark. I got a delivery from Danish seaweed, which harvests from the northern part of Denmark. We got a few different fresh types of seaweed here. So the first one here is called the spiral rack, and you can see it has these nice poppers. They have a really delicious texture, really creamy. This one here is called Gracelaria. It also has a good bite to it. And let's see, here we have Dumont algae. It's sort of similar to noodles. It's quite nice. And this one here, it's called CPH, or the hard to pronounce in Danish, blodrød ribbeblad. It's really nice because it has a flavor profile similar to oysters. And let's see, here we got bladder rack. It's really common in Denmark. It's really good when you fry it, actually. And here we also got some dried seaweed for the occasion. So we got here some sea lettuce, and we got some spaghetti seaweed, and we got this dulse, or sø in Danish. It's also called the bacon of the ocean because it has a flavor of bacon when you fry it. And we got the kombu, and we got this seaweed mix from the coast of Isefjord with 3 different types of seaweed. Let's get cooking. In today's video, we're going to do 3 small dishes. We're going to make uchasuke, which is rice where you pour tea over. Then it's topped off by fresh fish, fresh seaweed, sesame seeds, and wasabi. And we're going to do a variation on a gyudon, which is normally a dish with beef and onions and soya and sake. We're gonna make it with mushrooms and Dumont algae, and then we're gonna make fried Kombu seaweed chips. Okay, so with the seaweed, the most important thing when you're treating it and washing it, and also cooking with it, is that you should use salted water if water is involved. So this seaweed here is harvested yesterday morning from Danish seaweed, but it still has a little bit of sand and sand that we need to clean out. So what we do is we take water and add around 2 to 4% salt. So it's for every 1 liter of water, we add around 20 grams of salt at least. So the process is pretty simple. Use fine salt so it dissolves faster in water, and whisk until it's dissolved. Most types of seaweed requires around 2 rinses before it's clean. You simply dunk it in the water, and often you can also see that the salt and other small things will fall to the bottom. You can use your hands. Then to the second bowl. You see already now it's much cleaner. And that's actually just how you wash seaweed. It's pretty simple. But again, it's very important that you use salted water. If you only take one thing away from today's cooking lesson, that's to use salted water when you wash seaweed. One of the dishes that we're going to cook today is called uchasuke, and the core of the dish is rice, where you pour hot tea over it. And the beauty about that is you can actually use day-old rice or leftover rice and use the tea to reheat the rice. And it's a very versatile dish. You can make it with a ton of different seaweed types. You can make it with fish, meat, chicken, you name it. So for today, the one that we're going to be making is going to be with the spiral rack, bladder rack, sea beach, and the gracilaria. You could also use the Dumont algae, this one here. That's also very nice. You could use dried seaweed. Again, then the tea is gonna go in and rehydrate all the seaweed types. Dulce is also very nice for this type of dish. So with this type of seaweed, gracilaria, we're gonna blanch it really quick. And I personally like to eat most seaweed closer to raw. But this type we're gonna blanch real quick, just to reduce the texture a little bit. It has too much of a bite right now in its raw state, I think. And again, we use salted water, 2 to 4%, to blanch and to cool down. And it's really just a few seconds. And look closely now, the color is going to change. It's a really beautiful green color. I'm going to cool it down. You can see here, it's very, very nice. Okay, so the next step is to prepare the fish and prepare the seaweed. And we'll start here with the fish. We've got this beautiful rainbow trout from the southern part of Denmark. I trimmed it a little bit first. You just need to take out some of these bones, the pin bones here. Take off the skin. Just gonna make a small cut here at the end. I'm gonna use my knife to remove the skin like this. So we have it in here. Trim some of the fat off here. With the fish, for this dish, it's very nice to score the fat side here. You get more of the flavor out. Score it like this. And here, cut it. Some nice bite-sized pieces. Dish that we're doing today, you can use any type of fish. You can use cooked fish, you can use meat. Actually, you can make a vegetarian version as well. It's a very versatile dish. Here. Seaweed. We're also just gonna trim it and cut it into smaller bite-sized pieces. Remember before we blanched the gracilaria. And again, it's just like roughly cutting, so it's more bite-sized for this dish. Also going to cut the spiral rack. And for this dish, we just want the poppers here at the end. So we're going to trim it off like this. here, here. You can eat the whole seaweed, also the bottom parts here, but they tend to be more tough and a bit more bitter compared to the ends. And for this dish, I like just to use the poppers. You can make stocks and stuff with the ends here. This one here, the CPH. Just gonna trim off the leaves. So you would also use a small scissor to trim these off, and actually we just need very few pieces for today. So let's get here, kasseler, or spiral rack, and just a bit of CPH, or Riederblad in Danish. It's called. Okay, and the bladder rack, we're also gonna trim it. So we take the chop shoots like this. And these we're actually gonna grill. A little bit of oil. Okay, so for the bladder rack here, it's really nice when you grill it. We're just gonna add a bit of toasted sesame oil. You can use any type of oil, but I think this one goes really well, especially with the dish. So we're just gonna give it a bit of oil, toss it, mix it so it's nicely covered. Then we're gonna use our gas burner here. You see the same effect is happening here with the color changes. Salt, and that's it. So just gonna add it to the rest of our platter over here. Yeah. For our uchisuke, we're gonna use bancha hojicha, which is a roasted bancha tea. It has a very nice flavor, which goes really well with this dish. And to brew the tea, we just have a pot of water here. It's around 80 degrees. You don't want the water too hot or to overboil. And I like to brew this tea for around 4 minutes. So now we just wait. So for our uchisuke, we have leftover rice actually from yesterday. It's the beauty of this dish. We're gonna add some salt. We're gonna add some sesame seeds. Some pickles, that's always good for this dish. And we're going to add our seaweed. So with the kasseler, spread it a little bit. We have our spiral rack, our bladder rack grilled. And we're going to add some of this fish here. Tiny dab of wasabi to the top, like this, and then we actually just pour the tea over. And the nice thing about this dish is that the tea will kind of like cook the things just slightly and heat it up. And then we finish off with our CPH, because this one can't really take the heat. For this next segment here, we're gonna make Kombu Chips now. And you take dried kombu seaweed, And so actually this is also really cool. This is called kombu. It's the most important type of seaweed in the Japanese kitchen. And the type we have in Denmark, it's similar, but it's a little bit different, like species-wise. But it has a lot of the same qualities. So we take the dried seaweed with a hot pot of oil, pop it in, and you can see it starts to bubble. It might burst a little bit because there's a bit of water content in it. And you can see it gets these very nice poppers again. I'm just going to turn off the oil. And then we sprinkle it with a little bit of sugar. And the amazing thing about kombu, especially when it's fried, it has a flavor of licorice, and the sugar helps to bring out more of that flavor. And this is a very nice, easy, and delicious snack you can do. So the other dish that we're going to show is using onions. I'm just going to cut it a bit roughly. Gonna peel it and chop it. I'm just gonna, I mean, you can chop it rough or fine. It's whatever your preference are for this dish. Something like this. I mean, it's for the next dish. We're going to start with a pan with a bit of oil. We're going to start on low to medium heat. Add some of our onions. Just cook it until it's slightly translucent. Oyster mushrooms over here. Sweat it a little bit. So now we've fried the mushrooms and the onions just a little bit. We're gonna add mirin and sake and soya. And then it's gonna reduce just slightly. We're gonna add our seaweed. So this is the Demon algae. We're actually gonna use it in the dried version now, because it's gonna suck a lot of the liquid. Just gonna give it flavor. Just gonna give it a good handful here. We'll try and get it hydrated with the liquid. So normally actually you would cook this in a deeper pot compared to the amount. The important thing here is just that it gets soaked in the liquid. So we're going to turn the heat down a little bit. Normally you would maybe add a bit more liquid so it can really simmer. Because the important thing is that the flavors mix. And for today's TV kitchen, we got too big of a pot, or pan, but that's how it is sometimes. So you see, you want to mix it and get all the flavors together. I'm just gonna do a taste test. This. It's a bit more time. The nice thing about the Demon algae is the flavor is really similar to mushrooms, which is why we added more mushrooms, so it's going to be more intensely flavored. And mushrooms also contain quite a bit of umami, which the seaweed does as well, so it's a really good combination. And now it's still a bit juicy, which is quite good. So we can actually add it to the rice. Now we have our rice, we have our lemon algae, and mushrooms. We're gonna add it here to the top. And we're gonna add a bit of dried shiitake. A lot of shiitake. And we're gonna add some pickled ginger. It goes really well to this dish. Okay, so this dish here is a bit of a variation on a popular Japanese dish called the gyudon, which is with meat, onions, sake, and soya, where you simmer it together and you serve it with rice. This version is with mushrooms instead, and with seaweed or lemon algae. But we're actually using it in the dried shape, or the dried version, because it helps to absorb some of the flavors from the sake and the soya and the meat better. Yeah. And the idea is that you let things simmer together and the flavors mix. Guest chef is Marco.
Yeah.
From he's gonna do a Seaweed Burger.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Let's skip that one. Oh no, just keep going. You can just cut it, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm lucky, yeah.